Before we get into today's show, let me tell you about the latest deal from Mike Lindell, MyPillow. Once again, the big box stores have canceled their orders simply because they don't agree with Mike Lindell's politics. They don't like it because he supports President Trump. Well, he's going to pass that savings on to you. No more middleman. And boy, does he have some great deals on the Giza Dream Sheets and the Percal bed sheets. Listen to this. Giza Dream queen size, normally $139.98. Your wholesale price, $69.99 when you use promo code Joey. King size, only $79.99. The Percal queen size, normally $89.98. Your wholesale price, $29.98 when you use promo code Joey. Just call 1-800-893-4059 or go to mypillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. Free shipping options available. This allotment's not going to last very long. When they're gone, they're gone. mypillow.com. Promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Minnesota hotel has been removed from the approved federal lodging list after allegedly refusing to accommodate ICE agents. We have an update on this ongoing story. New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani has appointed a longtime housing activist. Her name is Sia Weaver. She's going to run the city's Office to Protect Tenants. And almost immediately, some of her old social media posts and some of her past comments have started recirculating. And boy, they've raised a few eyebrows. You don't want to miss this story. President Trump, speaking at the House GOP policy retreat Tuesday, went off script just a bit and did what only Donald Trump can do. He acted something out. You're going to want to hear this as well. And Governor Henry McMaster is asking legislators to spend another $1.1 billion on road work as inflation drives up costs. This is part of the governor's budget recommendations for the legislative session set to begin in just a couple of weeks. It's a busy day. Let's get started.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
So I want to give you an update on a story I told you about yesterday. The Hampton Inn Hotel in Minnesota. It appeared that they were refusing to rent rooms to ICE agents. Remember this? Well, Hilton is now saying there's more to the story, but they may be a little too late. The General Services Administration, known as the GSA, said that it is terminating the Hampton Inn Lakeville in Minnesota from its list of approved lodging sites for all federal employees after the hotel refused to accommodate ICE agents and immigration officers. Now, here's the story from Fox and Friends.
Good morning. DHS says that hotel canceled those reservations for DHS officers after seeing their government emails. DHS posted a series of screenshots that appear to be from a Hilton email account on January 2nd. One of those emails saying, "We are not allowing any immigration agents to house on our property." DHS is accusing Hilton hotels of launching a coordinated campaign in Minneapolis to refuse service to DHS officers. But Hilton, in a new statement, is distancing themselves, saying this hotel is independently owned and operated, and these actions were not reflective of Hilton values. "We have been in direct contact with the hotel, and they have apologized for the actions of their team, which was not in keeping with their policies. Hilton's position is clear. Our properties are open to everyone, and we do not tolerate any form of discrimination." The management company for the Hampton Inn Lakeville property is also issuing a statement. Everpeak Hospitality says they have moved swiftly to address this matter, as it was inconsistent with our policy of being a welcoming place for all. "We are in touch with the impacted guests to ensure they are accommodated. We do not discriminate against any individuals or agencies and apologize to those impacted." DHS Assistant Secretary, though, Tricia McLaughlin, suggests Everpeak hasn't done enough, posting this: "I wonder how Everpeak Hospitality has moved swiftly to address this matter when DHS and ICE have not heard anything from them." We'll see if that changes today.
Now, what you need to know is several emails posted by the Department of Homeland Security and ICE on Monday showed that the hotel was, quote, not allowing any ICE or immigration agents to stay at any of our properties. After I was informed that a local Hilton property canceled rooms reserved for ICE, GSA immediately reviewed the matter and found the hotel to be in clear violations of its government lodging program. This according to GSA Administrator Edward Forrest, as he told Fox News. He said the property has been removed from the programs and booking tools effective immediately. GSA unequivocally supports our federal law enforcement partners. The GSA is a federal agency. It's responsible for managing and supporting the basic functioning of federal agencies. Forrest was nominated by President Donald Trump to lead the agency, and he was sworn in on Christmas Eve after being confirmed by the U.S. Senate in mid-December. Now, the formerly Hilton-branded hotel was stripped of its Hilton label by the hotel chain Tuesday, after this video surfaced appearing to show that the location continued to deny immigration officers despite Hilton Hotels saying that the venue had apologized and that the properties are open to everyone. And they said, we do not tolerate any form of discrimination. The hotel participated in a government lodging program partnership, is known as GSA Fed Rooms, is between federal employees and the location. Now, after the Hampton Inn Lakeville denied federal agents rooms, GSA removed the property from all lodging programs and travel systems. Fed Rooms is a GSA-managed transient lodging program. Is provided for federal travel regulation compliant hotel accommodations to U.S. government and military travelers at or below federal per diem rates. Now, GSA also terminated emergency lodging services and long-term lodging at the property as well. Fox News learned through sources that the hotel accommodated federal agents for roughly 130 total nights last year, including active duty military members, along with civilian employees. The total number of federal workforce exceeds 4 million. Hilton Hotels noted in its initial statement that the Hampton Inn Lakeville is, quote, independently owned and operated, and said that officials from the property took immediate action to resolve this matter and are contacting impacted guests to ensure that they're accommodated. Now, a viral video posted by another citizen journalist posted to X, this time freelance journalist Nick Sortor. This was posted yesterday as well. Showed an employee at the counter continuing to deny federal agents after Hilton said it wasn't happening. This, of course, going against Hilton's statement. Mr. Sortor is shown walking into the very Hampton Inn that started this whole fiasco, asks for a room, is told there are rooms available, and he actually pulls up, and you can see on his screen where he was looking online, and it showed that they had more than the 10 rooms that he asked for. When he claimed to be a Homeland Security officer, the clerk clearly says that they're not allowed to offer rooms to immigration agents. Let's listen in.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how you doing?
Good. Do you have any rooms for tonight?
You should, yeah.
Okay. Like how many? Could we get like 10?
10?
I mean, yeah, I know that might be.
See. Did you already make reservations by any chance?
No.
No? What's
First.
the name?
It would be just Nick. I'll just put it under my personal. I don't know if you can use a government rate or not, but.
Let's see. It depends because there's a lot of stuff going on right now. Is it, what agency is it for? Using the government rate?
They'd be Department of Homeland Security.
So we're not accepting people from immigration, ICE agents, DHS into our property. It's just a management ownership.
Okay, I thought that changed today. Was that?
I just talked to my the owner of the building, and he didn't say there has been any changes. So
Really? Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
it's just policy. You know that.
Yeah, I mean
they
that's
said.
not your fault. Totally,
Yeah.
totally get that. So they actually said that was like, I mean, honestly, this is the most convenient location. So it's
Right.
like, so they told you no, that there's no.
Yeah, no immigration.
Well, DHS isn't
DHS.
all
Yeah.
immigration. But, okay.
So,
Okay. So even with the thing that they said earlier, where they mentioned that there was a statement that they put out, saying that they accept everybody, and
I
here
haven't been informed I could call my owner right now if you want.
Yeah.
And ask him what's.
That'd probably be good. Just trying to figure it out. So because it's somebody said, I didn't know it was this location, but Ever Peak Hospitality, right?
I'm new here,
okay.
So I don't really know what's.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I'll just call him. Ask him
that's
see what's.
pretty good.
There's been any.
Just to be clear, like
Right,
I'm not trying to cause any problems. It's just
Right,
it's 11 o'clock now.
Right.
So
Yeah. I get it. Yeah. I'll be right back.
Okay. Thank you.
So the hotel clerk goes into the back, supposedly to call the, quote, owner, comes back out and says, well, nobody answered, couldn't get him, and denied the supposed agent the rooms. Hilton Hotels took action shortly after, separating the individual hotel from their network. In a statement, they said a recent video clearly raises concerns that they are not meeting our standards and values, Hilton said in a statement. As such, we're taking immediate action to remove this hotel from our systems. Hilton is and always has been a welcoming place for all. Hampton and Lakeville appears to have been removed from Hilton's website. It's not your fault that losing weight is getting harder and harder. You're eating better, you're moving more, but your body isn't responding the way it used to. That's not willpower, that's metabolism. And believe me, I've learned so much about the metabolism from the folks at PhD Weight Loss, and it's made a huge difference in my life. Joey Hudson here. For many people, years of dieting quietly slows the metabolic system down, so the harder you try, the less progress you see. At PhD Weight Loss, they help people identify what's actually blocking fat loss, and they fix the root cause, not just count calories. If you want to understand why your body isn't cooperating, call PhD Weight Loss now and mention Fix My Weight Loss to unlock the New Year's special. It's free, it's personalized, and it could explain everything. Call 864-644-1900 and say Fix My Weight Loss. That's 864-644-1900 and say Fix My Weight Loss to get started today. You can also find them online at myphdweightloss.com. That's myphdweightloss.com. Start the new year off right and fix your weight loss. Okay, so I debated with myself on whether to even bring this story up, but I couldn't help myself. I had to. All right, so here's the story. Let's talk for a minute about Washington, D.C. This week that had House Republicans laughing, the media clutching its pearls, the mainstream media, that is, and half the country nodding along saying, yeah, that's kind of the point. So what's the story? Well, it's about President Trump speaking at the House GOP policy retreat on Tuesday. He went off script a bit and did what only Donald Trump does. He acted something out. Specifically, the president decided to make his case against transgender athletes competing in women's sports, not with a white paper, not with a policy memo, but with a physical demonstration. And whether you loved it, hated it, or rolled your eyes, it landed exactly where he wanted it to land. I'm only sorry that you can't see this, but I'm going to let you listen in.
And you see, I want to be more, but I have somebody watching. I want to be more effusive. I want to really, But she gets it, and drops the thing, walks off the stage crying. Her mother's crying, her father's crying. Guy gets up. He said, have you lifted before? A little bit. And he walks up. Bing. He could have gone ding, 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 ding. I think it was 112 pounds, huh? It's crazy.
All right, so what you were just listening to was the president imitating a female weightlifter. And he was straining, he was shaking, he was fighting to get the bar up, making all kind of faces, noises, exaggerated the struggle, and he painted a pretty clear picture. Then he switched roles. Suddenly he's playing the transgender competitor, casually walking up, lifting your weights with ease, and strolling off like it was nothing. And he looked at the room and he said, essentially, this is crazy. Now, here's the thing. This wasn't subtle. It wasn't refined. It definitely wasn't something you'd see in a political science textbook. It was unmistakably Donald Trump. Strip away the imitation, the jokes, the theatrics, and what the president was doing was highlighting a reality that a lot of Americans understand instinctively. Men and women are biologically different. Period. End of sentence. Those differences matter, especially in sports. And pretending otherwise doesn't make it fair. This isn't about hating anyone. It's not about denying dignity. It's not about mocking people for who they are. It's about sports and competition. Women train their entire lives for these moments, championships, scholarships, records, medals. When biological males enter those competitions, the playing field isn't just tilted, it's fundamentally changed. That's not a conservative talking point. That's just basic physics. And the president knows this is one of those issues where Washington elites might squirm, but parents, athletes, and everyday voters quietly say, he's right. He's right about this. Now, one moment that actually stood out wasn't the invitation itself. It was what President Trump said about the First Lady. He told the room that Melania hates when he does stuff like this. She thinks it's unpresidential, he said. She doesn't like the dancing. She doesn't like the impersonations. And the president said, I did become president. That matters because it shows something important. This isn't Trump being unaware. This is Trump being intentional. He knows it breaks decorum. He knows the media is going to explode, and he does it anyway. He even knows that it's not pleasing to the First Lady, and he does it anyway because he believes the message connects with voters more than polished restraint ever could. That's been Donald Trump's political superpower from day one. Democrats have never fully resolved their internal conflict on transgender participation in women's sports. You can hear it when they talk. You can see it in polling. You can feel it in how carefully they word the answers. Because deep down, many of them know the public isn't where activist groups are. Female athletes don't want to lose scholarships or records. Schools don't want lawsuits. And yet activist pressure keeps pushing institutions to pretend biology doesn't exist. Trump taps into that frustration, not with a spreadsheet, but again, with a story people immediately understand. Now, it's not an accident that Riley Gaines, a former collegiate swimmer who has lived this issue firsthand, immediately praised Trump. She posted a clip and said, "No, I don't regret my vote. This is perfect." Now, why? Because for athletes like Riley Gaines, this isn't abstract. It's very personal to her. She trained, she competed, just like a lot of other young women have trained and competed and have lost opportunities, not because they weren't good enough, but because the rules changed midstream in the middle of the game. And when politicians refuse to even acknowledge that reality, frustration turns into anger. And President Donald Trump gave voice to that. This isn't about theater. The president followed words with action. Last year, after returning to office, he signed an executive order tying Title IX enforcement to biological sex, warning schools that allowing biological males into women's sports or locker rooms could cost them their federal funding. That's not symbolic. That's just using his bully pulpit. And it sends a message to schools. You don't have to be activists. You don't have to choose ideology over fairness. The federal government has your back. If you follow the law as written, they're going to cover you. And this is where commentators sometimes miss the point. They assume moments like this only appeal to Trump's base. But this issue cuts much wider. You've got suburban parents who voted Democrat in the past but are uncomfortable with where the Democrat Party has now gone. You've got independents who don't want culture wars but also want common sense. They don't want common sense thrown out the window. You've got young women asking why their hard work suddenly doesn't matter. And President Trump did not invent this issue. He's just reacting to it. And he's doing it in a way that bypasses elite language and goes straight to kitchen table understanding, goes straight to the family. Was it polished? No. Was it presidential by old school standards? Definitely not. Was it effective? I think so. And that's the reason you have Donald Trump doing the things that he does sometimes that, yes, are a little unpresidential. On the text line, texter says, Joey, this tells me right off the bat that Hilton hotels may be employing a ton of illegal immigrants, and by having ICE there, they didn't want to have a bunch of no-shows. Looks like ICE needs to start with the Hilton chain hotels for all the illegals they're looking for. Maybe right. But I want us to be careful here because, and not apply this to the Hilton brand necessarily, because Hilton immediately, well, not immediately, but soon after this became a real news item, they stripped that local hotel from the Hilton brand. That hotel is no longer part of the Hilton brand. And that's a big thing for a hotel operator to lose. They're going to have to take those Hampton Inn signs and that imaging off. Hilton has already removed them from their website. So that says something. Appreciate your text. Texts are welcome, as are emails, joey@joeyhudson.com. All right, let's talk New York City for a minute, because the new mayor hasn't even had time to rearrange the furniture, and already we're getting a pretty clear picture of where this administration wants to go. Mayor Zohran Mamdani has appointed a longtime housing activist, Sia Weaver, to run the city's Office to Protect Tenants. That title in itself, the Office to Protect Tenants, should raise the hair on the back of your neck. And almost immediately, some of her old social media posts and past comments have started circulating, and they've raised more than a few eyebrows. One tweet from a few years back really caught people's attention. Weaver wrote that homeownership, especially homeownership, is a weapon of white supremacy disguised as wealth-building policy. Let me let you hear her say it in her own words.
I think the reality is that for centuries we've really treated property as an individualized good and not a collective good, and we are going to transitioning to treating it as a collective good and towards a model of shared equity will require that we think about it differently, and it will mean that families, especially white families, but some POC families who are homeowners as well, are going to have a different relationship to property than the one that we currently have.
Now, that's a pretty strong statement. It's not exactly something you expect to hear from someone now running housing policy in the largest city in the country, is it? She's also previously tweeted that we should elect more communists. And in a video from a Democrat Socialists of America event, she talked about how America has spent centuries treating property as an individual good. She believes that. She absolutely believes that owning your own property is a bad thing. Now, I don't know for sure. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to say she's probably never owned her own home. Now, in other words, in her mind, the idea that owning property is something personal, something individual, in her own view, that's outdated. Now, whether you agree with it or not, this matters because this isn't just an academic debate anymore. This is how someone now sitting inside New York City Hall is helping shape policy that affects millions of people. For now, in New York City, but you know how these ideas start to spread to other cities once they take root. Nobody denies New York has a housing problem. Okay, they have for years. Rent is expensive. Buying a home is almost impossible. That's real. And everyone agrees something needs to be done. But there's a difference between saying, let's fix housing affordability, and saying maybe the whole idea of owning property is a problem. Talk about going back hundreds of years. That's kind of like back in the day in England when the king was the only one who, and his lords could own property. The average person could never dream of owning their own property. Now, for a lot of Americans, and not just in New York, home ownership has been one of the few reliable ways regular people, the middle class, can build stability and long-term security. I'm not talking about power. I'm not talking about dominance. I'm talking about just a stable future. You buy a house, you raise a family, you pay it off. Maybe someday you leave something behind for your kids. That's been a pretty common American story across races, across income groups, across generations. So when someone in government suggests that idea itself is suspect, people understandably start asking questions. Now, one reason this is getting attention nationally, and the reason you and I are talking about it today, is because, again, what happens in New York often sets trends. Policies get tried there. Language gets normalized there. And then those ideas start showing up in other parts of the country. That's why even people who will never live in Manhattan or Brooklyn are paying attention to this appointment and to her ideology. It's not just a talk radio topic that's getting noticed. The Justice Department has also weighed in. The Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, Harmeet Dillon, said the DOJ is watching closely and made clear that if city policies cross constitutional or civil rights lines, the federal government is prepared to step in. That's not a threat. It's more of a signal that this administration is being taken seriously, and not everyone likes what they're hearing. Now, to be fair, Mayor Mamdani has been pretty upfront about who he is and what he believes. He ran as a Democrat socialist, and he says he intends to govern that way. He told us that in his inauguration speech. Nobody can accuse him of hiding it. The question is how that ideology translates into real-world policy. Does protecting tenants mean enforcing existing laws and cracking down on bad landlords? Most people would probably support that. Or does it mean rethinking ownership itself, as this young lady seems to suggest in this old video? Who gets to own? How much can they own? And under what conditions? Those are very different conversations. You agree? And this is where I want to hear from you. Text me, email me, joey@joeyhudson.com. Leave me a message on the MyPillow message line. 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Always use promo code Joey when you go to MyPillow.com and place your order. Take advantage of that $14.98 standard MyPillow when you use promo code Joey. Leave me a message, because if you own a home or hope to someday, what does that mean to you? Is it about control? Is it about security? And if you rent, do you want better protections? Or do you want government deciding who owns what? Do you want government owning that apartment building that you're renting? Those aren't rhetorical questions. They're real policy questions that are now very much on the table. This story isn't about tweets from years ago just for the sake of outrage. It's about understanding the mindset of the people now writing policy. When someone tells you what they believe about property, about ownership, about wealth, it's probably worth listening and taking seriously. Because ideas that start as theory don't stay theoretical for long once they make it into City Hall, and especially New York City Hall. And always, we're going to continue to follow this story because, again, this could be a very national crisis. It could turn housing into a crisis more so than it is now, if in fact they're able to do this. Now, by the way, while we're talking about white privilege, a Harvard University dean has been removed after a student-run news outlet exposed social media posts slamming whiteness, police, and advocating for looting and rioting. Gregory Davis is his name. Former Dunster House Austin Borough resident dean found himself in the hot seat after a Harvard student-run news outlet called Yard Report resurfaced the problematic post. Davis was on leave last semester for reasons unrelated to the controversy. Now, while Harvard did not confirm that Davis was removed for the inflammatory post, Fox News obtained the text from an email sent by the faculty deans of Dunster confirming Davis's removal. It read, "We are writing to confirm that Gregory Davis is no longer serving as the Austin Borough resident dean of Dunster House effective today. We thank Gregory for serving in this role and wish him and his family the best for their future endeavors." The email message also announced that his replacement, who had served as the interim. The posts in question were made between 2019 and 2024, mostly on X. For example, he posted on X, "It's almost like whiteness is a self-destructive ideology that destroys everyone around it by design." During the 2022 tensions between police and left-wing rioters during the George Floyd days, he wrote, "You should ask your cop friends to resign since they're racist and evil as rioters and looters wreaked havoc in major metropolitan areas nationwide. He defended the chaos. He also said something to keep in mind. Rioting and looting are parts of democracy, just like voting and marching. The people will be heard. The guy is promoting violence. In that same year, around the time President Trump tested positive for COVID-19, Davis said on X that he didn't blame people who wished Trump ill. He followed that post with a second caption, but also F that guy. He attached a meme that said, if he dies, he dies. This guy is nuts and doesn't need to be in any school. Just before Davis accepted his role as dean of Dunster House in 2024, he made a post about Pride Month on Instagram saying, wishing everyone a great Pride, remember to love each other and hate the police. People, I don't get it. I don't get these people who just hate white people in general. And that seems to be the case with this guy. If you're white and successful, then in his mind, you're automatically the bad guy. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Furman Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Furman Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Furman Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Furman, Matthew Furman. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Furman Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Furman Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Furman Ford online at furmanford.com, furmanford.com. Governor Henry McMaster is asking legislators to spend an additional $1.1 billion on road projects to keep up with inflation costs. He announced this in a preview of his total budget recommendations that he'll be giving to legislators as they go back in the session in a couple of weeks. This is nearly as much as legislators have spent on roads and bridges in the past 4 years combined. Construction costs have surged nationally in recent years. Repairs and improvements to roads and bridges haven't been spared. The problem is especially acute in places like South Carolina, where fast-growing populations mean more traffic, wear and tear on existing roads, and according to news release from the governor's office, these things have to be addressed now because they're only going to get more expensive. The governor's full budget suggestions are expected next week when the legislature returns to Columbia. Revenue estimates updated in November provided the legislature with nearly $2.5 billion in additional money to spend in the fiscal year starting July the 1st. Now, notice how that says in an additional 2.5 in additional money to spend. They ever thought about not spending it? You ever thought about returning some of that by way of no income tax? If we keep having year after year after year a $1 billion surpluses, don't you think we can get our tax rates down? That breaks down to about $1.7 billion that the state has in unspent reserves and above expectation tax collections so far this year, according to the Daily Gazette. So McMaster's request would consume more than 60% of the one-time money, what's considered budget surplus, and with proposed reductions to the state income tax, potentially decreasing revenue collections in the coming years, the governor says it's important that legislators dedicate a huge chunk of that existing surplus towards fixing the roads. At least he's thinking that maybe income tax will come down eventually. In a statement, he said, our population is skyrocketing, and inflation is driving up construction costs, creating potential delays. We can't make more time, but we can use this new surplus money to keep road projects moving and on schedule. Revenue hasn't kept up with the cost of inflation. Secretary of Transportation Justin Powell wrote in a December letter to the governor. To illustrate his point, Secretary Powell pointed to the 28-cent gas tax every driver has paid per gallon since 2022, the completion of a 6-year phase-in. And you may recall that phase-in, we were told, was going to solve all of our roads and bridges problems. Now, we know that it hasn't. Of course, we weren't convinced it would at the time anyway. In 2017, the legislature passed a law that gradually increased the per gallon tax by 12 cents. 1 penny per person per gallon could pay to pave 114 miles of 2-lane highway. In 2025, it could pave 87 miles, according to Secretary Powell. That's a pretty big difference, going from 114 miles to 87 miles. The governor's request would add to the nearly $7 billion in contracted construction projects that are already underway. Of the approximate $1.1 billion request, $600 million would help pay for ongoing interstate projects with those increased price tags. $400 million would help fund repairs to the state's aging system of bridges, and $150 million would allow new projects to move ahead. Without the money, projects already underway could take years longer than anticipated, Powell wrote. The longer a project takes, the more expensive it becomes. Powell wrote, as SCDOT has seen, these delays only lead to additional cost increases, a vicious cycle that is challenging departments across the nation as they work to deliver critical infrastructure. Now, some of those existing projects that would be included, one would complete the widening of I-26 between Columbia and Charleston to 3 lanes each way. And if you've ever been headed to Charleston in the summer, you know how bad that can get. The other would widen the first 10 miles of I-95 from the Georgia border to U.S. Highway 276 in Jasper County. Again, if you've ever been headed to Hilton Head in the summer, you know how that's needed. Now, the cost of both projects has spiked since 2022, with the 70-mile I-26 project surging from just over $2 billion to now $3 billion, and the I-95 project going from $977 million to nearly $2.3 billion. You see these numbers, and it makes you wonder if maybe we don't need to look a little more closely at these paving contractors. And look, I'm a capitalist. I believe in making money. But I also know how lucrative that business can be. Maybe the state needs to get into the business of paving. Now, I typically wouldn't say that. But maybe we need our own crews out there paving this rather than paying some contractor. I don't know. What do you think? Text me, email me, joe@joeyhudson.com. Is that a horrible idea? We got to figure out a way, because I've got to believe there's a lot of price gouging going on from these contractors. I'm probably going to hear from some. Another major interstate project, Columbia's Carolina Crossroads, saw a significant increase as well, from $2.1 billion in 2022 to $2.8 billion by the end of 2025. Now, all these numbers are coming from the Department of Transportation, from Secretary Powell. That particular project, the Columbia's Carolina Crossroad, is expected to fix the notorious snarl of interstate ramps, more commonly called Malfunction Junction, right there in Columbia as you head into the city. Along with funding ongoing improvements, the money could help get 2 new projects off the ground, according to the proposal. The agency plans to eventually widen Interstate 85 between Anderson and Oconee counties. If you live here in the upstate, you know that's needed. Interstate 77 between Chester and Rock Hill. With $75 million, the agency could begin pre-construction design work, making it easier to apply for grants that could allow construction to begin sooner than the anticipated earliest start date of 2035, 10 years from now. The I-77 project would widen the interstate to 3 lanes each way from South Carolina Highway 9 east of Chester to U.S. Highway 21, where it already spans 6 lanes total. Another $75 million could pay for a study on how to improve parts of Interstate 26, Interstate 85, and Interstate 77 near Charlotte, also moving up the start date from 2035 at the earliest. Now, on the North Carolina side of the border, transportation officials are working to upgrade 11 miles of highway, including adding express lanes and reconstructing interchanges and bridges in an effort to reduce congestion. This is according to the North Carolina Department of Transportation. And, each state, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, has to kind of anticipate what the other is doing, because that's how some of these bottlenecks are created, when you have one state staying up to date and the other not. Look, it's big bucks, folks. It's big dollars. And again, I think we should spend some time looking into better ways of getting this done. I don't know. Text me, email me. That's it for today's show. Tara's up next, followed by Mike Gallagher, Bill Frady, Charlie James. We're back again tomorrow at 5 a.m. in your first cup of coffee and more Sunrise Carolina. Till then, folks, remember, God's got this. He's still in control. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Furman Ford text line 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.